Welcome viewers to my first episode of Legends of Film series. I hope for this to be a monthly series which sees us talking about many actors, actresses, directors and even film writers. It's not a top 10 or top 5 of what I feel is their best work. This is set up just to inform people of what I consider some of their best performances. As I said, they're not rated in what's the best, what's the worst. It's just to show you some films that you might want to check out regarding some of these legends of film. So episode 1 sees us start with what I consider is a fantastic British actor by the name of Gary Oldman. He's been in some truly fantastic movies, and picking just a few for this video was actually very hard. I had to ask quite a lot of people. Gary Oldman was born in England in 1958 and received a BA in Theatre Arts in 1979 from the Sidcup Kent Bruford Drama College. Since then, he's mainly been known for playing psycho-antagonists in lots of films. He plays the role very well. He's got a sort of cool demeanour about himself, but quite recently we've seen him playing more of a protagonist role, as he's had roles in the films Batman, as he played Commissioner Gordon, and the Harry Potter movies as well, showing that he is a versatile actor. Gary Oldman has also tried his hand at writing and directing. He wrote and directed a film in 1997 called Kneel by Mouth that was premiered at the Cannes Film Festival, that actually won Kathy Burke Best Actress Prize at that year's Cannes Films Festival. Gary Oldman is currently writing a project called Flying Horses. I don't know much about this project at the moment, but we'll keep people posted in the future when more information is released on this project. On to the awards. Gary Oldman has won lots of smaller awards, but I want to stick with the big well-known awards. Gary Oldman has been nominated for 3 BAFTAs and has also been nominated for an Oscar in Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Unfortunately, Gary Oldman has never won an Oscar, but with some of the performances in the movies that I'm about to talk about, I'm surprised he hasn't, and I think you will be seeing this man getting an Oscar in the future. The biggest award that he has picked up was a BAFTA for Best Film of the film he directed, Kneel by Mouth. So on to some movies where I think if you want to check out Gary Oldman, these are some of my favourites and some that have been recommended to me to see his performances in. They're not in best to worst or worst to best order. The only order I've put them in is the newest to the oldest movies. As I said, this man's been in a lot of films, but these are what I recommend people should check him out in. So first up would be his performances in Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy movies. We see Gary Oldman play Commissioner Gordon here. He's the commissioner of the Gotham Police Department. He's trying to turn Gotham into a better place, trying to root out all the dirty cops in Gotham Police Department, and forms an unlikely alliance with Batman. He doesn't really believe, first of all, what Batman stands for, being a vigilante, but can see that Batman is the only person that can bring order to Gotham. I think it was some amazing casting to have Gary Oldman in this character. He brings so much depth to Commissioner Gordon, and you can see the pain that he puts into his acting of trying to turn Gotham into a decent police department. But the only way he can do it is by supporting Batman, who is technically breaking the law. You see a man at war with himself, and it is played superbly by Gary Oldman. Next up is an animated movie where Gary Oldman does some voice acting, showing he's a very versatile person. This would be Kung Fu Panda 2. This is the second installment of the Jack Black franchise of Kung Fu Panda. We see Gary Oldman playing Lord Shen, a peacock who is banished from his kingdom for the atrocity he caused to the panda genocide, and that sounds a bit strange, but the genocides of pandas, to return and try and take back his kingdom. This sees Gary Oldman playing one of his best, in my opinion, antagonist roles. He's fantastic in this voice acting. The voice he puts on for Lord Shen fits the character so perfectly and is a true megalomaniac. Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. This is the nomination for the Oscar that Gary Oldman got, and I can understand that. He was great in the role of George Smiley. It was a role that showed a lot of his acting skills off. This film was full of British actors and some very good actors to compete with, and he was great as his role. I wasn't a big fan of the film myself. It's set during the Cold War, where we see Gary Oldman's character being forced into retirement from his position in the British intelligence following a mission that had gone bad in Hungary. He then sets out to uncover a Russian mole in the British intelligence agency that was the reason that the mission went bad. It sees a lot of backstabbing, a lot of slyness of the British intelligence. It's very well played by Gary Oldman, as you see him having to act within the film, within his parts. So he's acting as an actor to win the trust of both sides and root out the mole. As I said, I wasn't a big fan of the film, but it was a great performance by Gary Oldman. So this is one for the Potter fans out there. Obviously, this is Gary Oldman as Sirius Black in the Harry Potter series movies. This role sees Gary Oldman play an antagonist and a protagonist, showing that he can be the goodie and the baddie in this movie. As his character has escaped from the prison of Azkaban, everyone thinks that he's a murderer of other wizards, and everyone is scared that he has come back to kill Harry Potter himself. I'm not going to give too much away from the movie, but it sees Gary Oldman playing the psychopath role that he plays in other movies so well, and him playing the protagonist role so well, showing that he does have a heart and there is a lot of depth to his acting. Again, Harry Potter might not be for everyone, but it's fantastic to see Gary Oldman pulling off this role as Sirius Black in these movies. The Book of Eli. We see Gary Oldman play another megalomaniac. It's great to see him in this role. He puts a lot of passion, and there's just depth to every character he plays. Obviously, I've never met Gary Oldman. I would love to one day. I just wonder if he's a little bit like this in real life. In this film, it's set in an apocalyptic wasteland, and we see Eli travelling across the wasteland with the last Bible. Gary Oldman is a leader, a sort of unelected dictator of a little town in the apocalypse wasteland, who wants Eli's Bible because he feels that he could unite everyone that's left in the world under religion, and hence have all the power and be the world leader. This was a great role for Gary Oldman, as he plays the nutcase psychopath very well. Talking of psychopaths and megalomaniacs, this leads me into what I personally think is Gary Oldman's best film, and this is The Fifth Element. There's not much I can say about his character, Jean-Baptiste Emmanuel Zorg, apart from he is just a nutcase. It's hard to explain his character in this. He's flamboyant, he's over the top, he is just mad. You really need to see this movie, and any sci-fi fan will love this film. Next up is a movie that was recommended to me by more people than anyone when I asked for opinions on Gary Oldman's best movies. Again, it is one of my favourites, not the favourite, but it's up there with one of the best movies that Gary Oldman's been in, and probably one of the best movies ever, and that is Leon. Gary Oldman plays Stansfield, a dirty cop in this movie, in which he kills Natalie Portman's family. Natalie Portman's very young in this. She's a young girl, and she witnesses the whole killing. Natalie Portman then takes refuge with her neighbour, who is Leon, who turns out is actually a professional assassin, who then takes it about himself to wipe out Stansfield's dirty cop ring. It said it's great seeing Gary Oldman playing a role like this, where he's supposed to be a good guy, he's supposed to be the cop that you can go to, but actually he's just dirty, and he's more of a villain than the actual villains in this movie. Last but not least on the films that I'm going to recommend people see for Gary Oldman's performances if you haven't seen, and that is Bram Stoker's Dracula. This is a fantastic movie from start to finish. Gary Oldman is truly amazing in this role. He plays Dracula, and it's a story of Vladimir the Impaler, and we see Vladimir the Impaler turning into Dracula, and then coming over to England and falling in love. It's a love story, really, not really a horror story as most people think Dracula is. It's a love story. There's a lot of passion, a lot of feeling, depth to all the characters, and a quite a sad film, if you ask me. But it's fantastic to see minimal effects, minimal CGI, just raw, great acting in this film. So that sums it up for me for Gary Oldman. There's a lot of films I haven't mentioned. After the credits or during the credits, there is a list of Gary Oldman's entire filmography for you guys to check out. If there's any actor, actress, director, or writer you'd like me to feature in this series, please drop me a comment. Let me know, and let me know your favourite films that star this actor, actress, director, or writer. Thank you very much. I hope you continue to watch, and I will continue this series if I get lots of likes, shares, recommendations, and comments. So thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned. Benny, bring me everyone.